Shalom and welcome to what really is a special episode, not related to any teaching series at all. But I wanted to give you my perspective on what has occurred today in Israel. Perhaps you have already heard that Iran have launched according to the numbers I hear, close to 200 ballistic rockets into Israel. All of Israel was under a security alert. They all went into their secure rooms and safe places for about a half hour or so. And after this first wave of rockets, of which I believe 99% were intercepted completely, Israel now has been released from these secure places, and their citizens are going back to life as normal. I believe Iran had to do this because of the whole honor and shame game that's part of the whole Middle Eastern geopolitical framework or context. Iran absolutely had to show some kind of strength to preserve their own honor in retaliation to what Israel did this past weekend in killing Nasrallah, the Hezbollah leader, and other important terrorists, as well as some Iranians as well. Iran had to do this, and I believe they think they have done what they needed to do to save face, if you will. But also, I believe that they sort of cut short this wave of rockets, and I could be wrong because maybe a second or third wave will be forthcoming. But at least for now, I believe they didn't want to do too much to Israel, and they, of course, realized that Israel does have the capability of intercepting these rockets. So they put a pause on this launch and this attack upon Israel. Now, I'm sure that they are very, very fearful of what Israel will now do. Is this an open door? Is this an open opportunity for Israel now to do exactly what they did in Yemen? And that is perhaps, first of all, targeting Iran's oil fields, which of course would upset their economic cart greatly. In fact, it would devastate their economy if Israel would do this. Personally, I do hope and expect that Israel will do such a thing on that degree. But also, we can't minimize what Israel also will do, I believe, at some point, in that they will attempt to address Iran's nuclear capabilities and perhaps target their nuclear sites as well. We know that Israel has that capability. So I believe Iran is now running scared, and they should be. But Iran, of course, in their proxies, Hezbollah, they have taken a huge hit over these last 2 weeks in Lebanon. And of course, Israel is doing what they need to do to secure safety for their northern citizens to be able to return to their towns and their communities. What the next week or two will entail, we don't know. I believe Israel will continue to attack in Lebanon the Hezbollah strongholds that are embedded within the towns and villages, in houses, in private homes. It's just an atrocity of what Hezbollah is trying to do in their continuation of threatening and scaring and rocketing Israel. So I believe Israel will indeed continue that and will no doubt move into Lebanon with their own brigades and their tanks to alleviate this northern threat to their citizens. But back to Iran, we'll see what Iran will do, whether they will attack again or whether this will suffice, if you will, in especially the Arab world, what Iran thought they needed to do to save face in this situation. So we do continue to pray for the peace of Jerusalem, for Israel, and certainly for what the next day or two, or week, or 2 weeks, or a few months will, what that will hold in terms of Israel getting back to normal, doing what they do to suppress the terrorism, especially in the north, and to finally decimate Hamas in the south. I'll close with this word about how this all affects our trips. Our next scheduled trip is November. I think we have like 23 or 25 people. At this point, it's still too early to cancel this trip because I believe Israel will begin to make the north more secure than it has been over the last couple weeks. So we're not making a decision on November, and certainly all of our trips next year, starting in January and then February and March and June, and then a few in the fall. I'm expecting things to improve with tourism. Of course, I've already made 4 trips since the war, last October 7th, in March, May, June, and September. I was just there a couple weeks ago, didn't see any rockets at all. Safe environment, actually ideal situations to be there in support of Israel, and of course to enjoy the land all to ourselves. So, I mean, you maybe want to take a look at our past tours and check out our September 24 trip. Everything went perfectly well. And again, I'm hoping with some optimism that our November trip will happen as well. So if you are still looking and maybe waiting to pull the trigger on a trip with me that I lead, certainly I'm anticipating tourism to improve, although we are sort of set back a little with this Iranian rocket attack, but we'll see what happens the next really a few weeks. This will really determine whether we will go forward in our November trip. But for 2025 and certainly 2026, I think you can sign up with a good safe bet that tourism will eventually return, and will again resume in earnest with a higher and great interest in Israel travel. So I welcome you to be a part of traveling with us to the land of the Bible. We do have a Greece trip next fall already scheduled. I have already 25 or 30, so that's going to be filling up quickly. And we'll see what the situation might be in Israel. If indeed a situation or an event may, if it takes place and causes us to re-evaluate our Israel trips next year, we'll no doubt throw in another Greece trip to make that available for you. So continue to pray with me for Israel, for the safety of their citizens, and for really a lasting peace in the long term, and what Israel really needs to do in terms of securing that peace for all their citizens, not only in the South, but also especially now in recent weeks in the North. So this is just a quick update, and I hope that I provided some information and perspective for you. And again, we wait on God and trust in His timing for our trips to happen, and certainly are confident that they will. And we do pray for tourism to return back to normal in the short uh, distance time from now. So I hope you're doing well. I'm doing well. Our ministry continues to um, move forward. In a couple weeks, I do lead a trip to Greece with about 100 people. And then, as I mentioned, still anticipating our November trip happening to Israel and Jordan. But we'll play that again by ear over the next couple weeks as we see how things develop. But for now, Israel will do what they need to do. So please pray for their safety, for wisdom for their leaders, and certainly for God's protection over the entire land. So once again, hope your day's going well, and thanks for tuning in. Until next time. Shalom.